In this video I'm going to show you how to win against the player who has more troops than all of the rest of the players combined. I will show you how to make a comeback against the turtling player who, even though being overpowered, isn't attacking and taking the advantage as much as he could. This is another risk fixed card game which is being played with randoms, and with the yellow player going for Africa, I think I have decent chances to go for South America, since the black player is most likely going to go for Australia, and for the red player I guess it would make the most sense to go for Europe. So yeah guys, even though the black player could technically fortify a lot of troops into South America turn by turn, I don't think she would be dumb enough to fight for the same continent with me, while Australia could instantly belong to her without any potential conflict. And that's right, the black player has just added her troops to Australia, and with all of the player turns being passed, now I'm totally sure that I can go for South America without anybody contesting for it with me. So my first goal has been achieved. Now moving forward, my next goal is to make sure that I will be able to successfully hold it once I capture it. The black and red players are going for continents which are far away from me, so obviously I won't really feel that much threatened by them. However, with the yellow player going for Africa, he is going to be my neighboring player, so that we wouldn't feel tension between each other and that the yellow player wouldn't start putting a ton of troops next to my border once he captures Africa. I think it would be a good idea to send the alliance request to him, so he would know that my intentions towards him are friendly and that I will be completely fine of him capturing and holding Africa. And voila, another goal has been achieved. The yellow player has accepted my alliance request. And I mean, even before me sending the alliance request, the yellow player was so sweet to move out his troops from South America and then not even leave any troops on North Africa, making me the way to move my 2 troops from Africa out. For me to get better blitz rolls, capturing South America was more favorable to just add new troops to my biggest army and attack with it though, but since the yellow player was so nice to move his troops out, I decided to just waste these 2 troops I had in Africa anyways, so it would be easier for the yellow player to capture it, so just to show some appreciation for him as well. But yeah, the main thing that I wanted to say is that the yellow player showed me that his intentions were friendly even before me sending the alliance request, so I think he wouldn't have been a problem for me either way. But I mean, that was nothing bad to send the alliance request to him just to be completely sure as well. I didn't want that he would have potentially started adding a lot of troops next to my border without being sure, so it just guaranteed for me that he will be paying his attention to someone else but not me, or if he is a turtling player, then he would just simply be neutral. Anyways, another player I allied with is the red player. He has just sent me the alliance request and I decided to accept it because currently I'm not planning to attack him, and with him being the player who gets the most of troops, it will be beneficial for me, as he will most likely go after other players but not me, or maybe he will just simply stay neutral and the only reason he decided to ally is because I wouldn't invade him as potentially all others in case he had sent them the alliance requests as well. But nice, clearly he isn't allied with the yellow player. He invaded yellow into Africa, and that is so good, because if the yellow player decides to retaliate and then they will keep attacking each other, then I think I could easily capture North America with only the black player potentially being a problem for me. But I mean, I would just simply put the most of my troops into the Alaskan border, which protects from Asia. And it seems some bad things are about to happen for the red player. I just feel it guys. And this is what I've been waiting for. The yellow player getting mad and having a set decided to retaliate. So now they should become the biggest enemies. And guess what, if all or the most of their attention they're going to pay to each other, then meanwhile I should capture and hold North America with no problems at all, well, with just the black player being a potential problem, but hopefully she will just block her biggest army in Siam. At least this is what the Australian players usually do. And that's nice. The red player continues attacking the yellow player. And I mean, this is maybe why I decided to accept the red player's alliance request instead of invading him into Europe. Because if you're equally strong as your opponent and if you decide to attack him, then with him retaliating you could just end up destroying each other. but on the other hand I might have been safe in South America with it only having 2 borders, by mostly putting my troops on the Venezuelan border and with the yellow player North African troops helping me to guard my Brazilian border. So who knows, I could have definitely tried attacking Red instead of accepting his alliance request. Well, while back then it was questionable, now I could invade and attack the Red player for sure without being afraid of the retaliation. But I think it would just be more profitable to capture North America. I mean, the Red and Yellow players will be probably fighting each other anyways, and with both of them being my allies, I think they should be fine of me holding North America, at least when it comes to the Yellow player for sure, as he even moved his troops from North America out, and this is why I consider Yellow to be my best ally. And yeah guys, the Red player has just invaded me. Even though I still mostly expected for Red and Yellow foolishly fight or just become neutral towards each other, I still knew that for Red to invade me was quite likable possibility. But I still decided to take that risk, which could have been very profitable, and didn't even put a lot of troops to the Red player's border so he wouldn't be intimidated by me. But yeah, the Red player was smart enough to not invade the weakest Yellow player while another player was about to hold both of the Americas. So even though we were allies, I totally understand the Red player's decision to invade me because it always makes the most sense to attack the strongest player. But since I saw that he isn't too loyal and would be willing to attack me, and while he is additionally the player who holds the biggest continent, now I will be looking forward to eliminate him instead of the passive Australian turtle player Black. As with the Black player being very passive and with the Yellow player being my loyal ally, the only problematic player for me stays Red. So hopefully the Yellow player helps me out attacking Red. It seems he has stopped doing that for now, but if I show the initiative to invade the Red player first, then I think he should attack the Red player once again. But of course I will have to be very careful with my attacks to not over-attack the Red player because the Black player by doing nothing is growing quite strong, so I wouldn't like that she would end up having more troops than all of us 3 combined. At the first look it might have been looked as very risky decision for me to crush so many troops into Red right now when it comes to the balance of the game, but with the Black player's army being blocked and with all 3 of us trading in sets next turn, I think we should be good about that. Not anymore though, with the Red player deciding to suicide on me instead of just simply recapturing Europe. I mean, that's not something unexpected considering I'm playing a public lobbies game with probably not really that much experienced players who of course could get very emotional in case you attack them a lot. Instead of invading Red into Europe, I could have just back out and decide to simply turtling in South America, but I mean to just put your troops into one big army in your continent doing nothing is not that much interesting than playing aggressively and trying to make some action going on, right? In any case, I don't think the Red player should have gotten that mad to even consider to suicide on me, because after all he was the first one to invade me and at the same time betray me as his ally. Comparing to South America, Europe gives 2.5 times more troops than it, while both of the Americas only give 1.6 times more troops than Europe. I included one additional territorial troop you get into that calculation as well. So all in all, according to my math from my and Red's alliance, it was much more unreasonable for him to have Europe while for me only South America, comparing to with me additionally having North America. So taking all of that into the account, technically I should have gotten even more mad on him than he on me. But I'm not a person to suicide, I want to play to win. To suicide on Red would have just been a total waste of time. Well, maybe the Red player wasn't realizing that he was suiciding on me. After all, I think I'm playing with not that much experienced players here, so I should expect from them to make dumb moves. So everything's good. When I play in public lobbies, I don't have too much expectations of players playing wise. The most important thing that I'm still surviving, and that even though the Black player had more troops than all of us combined, she still didn't take the advantage of that to totally dominate the game or even win by taking all of us out if possible. If I were Black, then instead of letting Red and Yellow hold big continents, I would have just invaded them and then crushing as many of Yellow's troops as possible, with the Yellow player being the second strongest player, and then I would have fortified the biggest army from the Black place out with maybe just leaving a few cosmetical troops on Siam. And then in the next turn taking either Green or Red out, And after taking one of these players out, looking to the whole situation on the board and at the troops counter to see if I can take another one of those out as well, to see if after taking the third player out I would have the advantage against the yellow player in the endgame, and if so winning the game. So yeah, I think the black player has really missed a potential opportunity to win by being way too passive, and even then after finally invading yellow and red, still not attacking them as much as she could. Anyways, I don't really want to block my army here, but I think it will be the best to fortify it on Kamchatka, so neither yellow nor red would potentially feel intimidated by me, nor even black at this point, because I guess that the Australian players don't really like when you put a big army next to them in Asia, potentially them thinking that you would like to take Australia from them. But at this case it's more of the yellow player, cause then he put the biggest army in North America next to me, and with me moving out to Asia now he has his biggest army in Egypt, but I guess it's probably because of the black player invading him, so I think I should be good, but just in case. I didn't want to fortify my army back to North America so neither yellow nor red would think that I want to attack them. And that's nice, the yellow player is going after the black player as predicted. To be honest, the black player has really saved me from losing, I think. When the red player succeeded on me with the black player becoming overpowered and having more troops than all of us combined, the red and yellow players for some reasons were still paying almost all of their attention to me, so if the black player hadn't started to attack them, then I believe one of them would have eventually taken me out. So not only the black player didn't take a potentially winning opportunity, but at the same time she made herself as our biggest enemy by attacking too late. As before that it seemed like that red and yellow didn't even realize that balance of the game was broken at that point. And the yellow player even made the things for black easier by clearing me out from South America. To be honest, I didn't expect to get betrayed by yellow back then. I was considering him as my best ally and I really thought that he would attack red over me, as let's not forget that the red player was attacking him into Africa in the beginning of the game, so it was kinda shocking for me, but at the same time not that much surprising at all with me ending up so weak. I guess the yellow player probably saw that as a great opportunity to take another continent for himself, and since at that point they weren't attacking each other anymore, I guess that the alliance between them at that point was already made, and finally with me trying to hold both of the Americas, I guess I haven't even been that much appreciated as an ally by yellow anymore, as even if that person is your ally, you probably wouldn't like to let him hold a bunch of stuff, and both of the Americas is a lot comparing to only Africa. So all in all I think I made a bad decision back then of deciding to capture North America instead of invading the red player into Europe. I would have not only gotten rid of the fourth player who is not really needed in order for the balance of the game to be sustained, but also I would have been appreciated as a good ally by the yellow player since I would have helped him out to deal with this enemy, and since the red player was in Europe, I guess that I would have captured North America firstly, a turn or two earlier before the yellow player capturing Europe. But since I decided to go for my own benefits mostly by trying to get North America instead of helping yellow to attack red, you saw that happen to me back then. And why I say to help out yellow to attack red but not vice versa is because red by having Europe was getting quite more troops, so it makes more sense to team up on the other player who gets the same number of troops as you and another player combined, rather than help out that player who gets the same number of troops as both of you combined by weakening that another player. Sure thing, I would prefer for my ally to have smaller continent over the bigger one. And then another reason is that the yellow player really showed me friendliness in the beginning of the game by moving out his troops from South America and then North America, while the red player just sent me the alliance request and we weren't really doing anything with that. Well, besides him starting to attack yellow, but he didn't send me the attack request to attack yellow, so I guess he wasn't really asking me to help him out or something like that, or at the very least he didn't make that obvious. But anyways, as you can see, all three of us are completely good with each other and don't even guard our borders from each other, well at least I and yellow, while the red player still guards his borders from yellow, but I guess it's because that the black player couldn't just so simply invade him if black would go through yellow's Africa again. I think all in all our common enemy black has united us all. She started to invading us too late and still not attacking as much, So I think it would have been much smarter to take one of us out rather than to continuously keep invading us to our continents just for us to recapture all of them once again. So now the black player really ended up in an uncomfortable situation in which we don't like her the most. Well, at least when it comes to red and yellow, I really like the black player because she draw their attention to herself from me, as it really seemed red and yellow was about to start teaming up on me. In fact, I would really like to play the 3-player endgame with black, as obviously red and yellow are friends with each other, so if the black player got eliminated first, then it would be really unknown how the game would go on who deciding to attack who, while if the black player stays in a 3-player endgame then it will favor me with that another person not really liking the black player, so it would be more or less predictable that another player would be more focused on black rather than me, so unless I would obviously draw the attention to myself by overexpanding, but if not, then I would supposed to have the advantage in a 3-player endgame with 2 players who don't that much really like each other, well at least when it would come to that another person, as black was invading us all, but with that another player staying my ally while mostly focusing on black, it would give me some good opportunities to team up with that player on black. So anyways, I am not really sure how the situation is going to go. I mean, if black was in any other continent and had her troops split, then her continent would get invaded or some of her troops would be crushed, but when in public lobbies it comes to the Australian player having all of the troops in one big army on Siam, usually the players have no idea how they could team up on that player besides capturing the territories of ones, or obviously taking him out when having enough troops to do so, but if not taking him out, then players usually don't know how they could team up. They don't really realize that they could just simply start crushing all the troops they get that turn or some of them directly to the Australian player's army, or on the other hand they could just be afraid of getting suicided on. Like in this situation, the red player probably wouldn't like to unleash the black player's biggest army by crushing some troops into her, as then she would probably go through red crushing a lot of his troops. So I really don't know how the situation is going to go. I guess it would be kinda strange to see red and yellow starting to attack each other, or even at this case me. So I guess I will just wait and see if any of them unleashes black's army. My army is the biggest one of all of us 3, so I think there's no chance the black player would decide to go through me. Good luck, well played, the yellow player says. I'm not sure what at this point it exactly means, but I really feel something bad is about to happen, so I'm just not sure to which of the players, but I guess most likely to black. And I mean seriously, he was just going to crush all of his troops into black like that? I mean, to crush some of the troops would have been a great idea assuming other players would have followed it as well, but now he's just simply suicided. Well, I didn't expect the win to get handed to my hands so easily, but I mean I don't complain. I have like the same number of troops as all of them combined, so I'm just simply taking them out. I even got some of the troops compensated by trading in a set from the black player's cards, and to take out the yellow player out for 2 cards basically doesn't cost me anything as I'm not losing any troops capturing his territories of ones. And after all of that, I'm not even mentioning the attacker's advantage I've got by crushing my opponent's armies first. So yeah, with me capturing almost all of the map and having quite more troops, I guess the red player has no chances to make a comeback at all. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then I would recommend checking some of these out as well.